I mean, I love doing the cover crops because it helped farmers, it helped the environment, checked all the boxes. And the nice thing about hemp is it does all those things too, but it's enhanced because it has a stronger connection to everyone. Cover crops really only, farmers, environmentalists, and a few, I'll just say citizens, non-farming citizens appreciate it. But with hemp, every single person on this planet can benefit from this plant. And I can't think of another plant that God made that benefits in more ways humanity than hemp.
That's Lancaster County hemp farmer Steve Groff. This is the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast. My name is Eric Herlock, and today I'll be catching up with Steve Groff just before he hits the road for Colorado. He's going out to the NOCO Hemp Expo. He'll be giving a talk on regenerative farm practices and soil health as those things relate to industrial hemp. On today's show, we're going to be talking about what's happening on his farm in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, what he's planting, the equipment he's using. We're going to hear about his experimental microprocessing efforts, as well as his work with Penn State's College of Medicine. Yeah, all that and more, just after these messages from our sponsors.
The KP4 Hemp Cutter, introducing a revolution in hemp harvesting, setting a new standard for harvesting quality, speed, and efficiency. The KP4 prepares hemp for ideal retting and easy on-field tedding, raking, and baling. Easy to maintain and designed to withstand the punishments of hemp harvesting. The KP4 Hemp Cutter. Available only at hempcutter.com.
This episode is brought to you in part by I&D Hemp in Fort Benton, Montana, where they believe in the goodness of hemp. I&D Hemp is a family-owned, mission-driven, and environmentally focused industrial hemp food, feed, and fiber company, providing new opportunities for farmers and rural communities. Their mission is to provide innovative agricultural products and services to connect American farmers with the pioneers and businesses that see hemp as a way to bring real and lasting change to our communities and planet. Learn more at indhemp.com. This episode is brought to you in part by Impactful Ventures, an investment and incubation company focused on supporting startups and other initiatives that play a vital role in mitigating the adverse effects of climate change. At Impactful Ventures, they strive to amplify enterprises that bring innovative, green opportunities to the forefront and empower those making a significant impact for a sustainable future. You can learn more at impactfulventures.org. This episode is brought to you in part by the National Hemp Association. The NHA is a nonprofit based in Washington, D.C. that advocates for sensible public policy and regulation. The NHA is dedicated to building a sustainable future and promoting economic development in rural communities. Become a member today and join a thriving community of people with a passion for all things hemp. Learn more at nationalhempassociation.org. Okay, hello and welcome back to the show. Here we are. It's the second week of April 2024. By the time you're hearing this, I'll be in Colorado. Right now, I'm still in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I'm here in the studio, and I've got a couple of news nuggets for you. A couple of months ago, I had an interview with Scott Evans from Panda Biotech there in Wichita Falls, so I'm happy to announce that their commercial operation is underway. There's a story here on Dallas Innovates. The headline reads, "Commercial operations begin at Panda Biotech's massive Wichita Falls hemp gin." This is Panda Biotech's landmark industrial hemp processing facility in Wichita Falls. It's a 500,000 square foot building with 3 miles of overhead pneumatic duct lines and a 600-yard long processing line. The gin is the first of its kind and the largest industrial hemp facility in the Western Hemisphere. Congratulations to the folks at Panda Biotech. This is amazing for you guys, for the industry, for the country. So looking forward to great things. All right, so going from Texas, up to Montana. We've got some news from IND Hemp. Full disclosure, they are one of our sponsors. They released some good news last week. They announced that IND Hemp has earned B Corp certification. This rigorous certification process recognizes for-profit companies who utilize business as a force for good through extracting standards for social and environmental performance. IND Hemp joins over 8,000 certified B Corps from across 96 countries and 162 industries that employ more than 750,000 workers. B Corps are continuously improving their impact to create more inclusive workspaces, improve their climate impact, and respond to the world's ever-changing issues. All right, so that's good news. Congrats to you all there at IND Hemp. Speaking of IND Hemp, a couple of weeks ago, I mentioned that they had just released a hemp-based kitty litter. Well, they sent me a few bags of that to try. It's not on the market yet. It will be in a few weeks. And I don't want to spend too much time talking about kitty litter because honestly, it's one of my least favorite parts of owning cats. But this kitty litter is so different. It's like a game changer. The clumping is better, the smell is better, the whole experience is better. So I'm looking forward to this being on the market so I can order it myself. I will let you know when this product is available because, like I said, this is a game changer, at least for me as a cat owner. All right, so that's the news from where I'm sitting here in Ephrata. Trying to get the show buttoned up early this week because I'm hitting the road myself, headed to Colorado on Tuesday. You're going to hear this on Wednesday, so by the time you do, I'll already be there. My plan for the week is to interview lots of people and check out many different hemp products and be part of the conversations around industrial hemp. So I will be publishing some bonus material, I think, from Colorado, but we'll sort of play it by ear. All right, so we're going to get into my interview with Lancaster County hemp farmer and cover crop coach and agricultural educator, Steve Groff. Here we go. Steve Groff from Cedar Meadow Farm. Welcome back to the podcast. How you doing?
Eric, I'm doing well. Happy spring.
Yeah, spring is here. So, hey, let's just jump right into it. What's happening there on the farm spring-wise? How's your weather been? What's your rainfall?
We certainly have plenty of rain here in southeastern Pennsylvania. Our total soil profile is charged, ready to go. We just want things to dry off now and warm up. It's been a little cooler than normal lately, but here we are in the second week of April now, we're thinking about planting here real soon, as soon as we can get in the ground to test some early industrial hemp plantings, just to see how well that goes.
Okay, well, what are you thinking? What are you going to get in this year?
I'm planting about 70 acres here on my farm, and we're also in conjunction with working with Hemp Catalyst, several hundred acres here in southeastern Pennsylvania. So we're making some plans for that, and we'll see what we get in the ground and see what we can learn this year.
Yeah, I see you're sitting in front of what I guess that's a hemp bale, yeah?
Yes, it is. Yeah, we're actually I still have most of my crop from last year, but we're slowly but surely trying to figure out how we can begin processing here. We want to do some small scale here in my farm, so we've been experimenting with several different variations of processing, and everybody knows, there's a lot involved. There's a lot of steps. There's the initial decortication or separation, and then there's the fine tuning. And the more I learn about what end users want, and that's where we need to start. By the way, we need to find out what the end user wants, and then back up from there. But the more we hear is almost everybody wants something different. They want a different spec. Length of fiber or variability within the fiber length. Same with herd. Yeah. And so we're trying to back up from where our customers want and figure it out so that when we do invest in larger scale machinery, we get it right the first time.
Right. So how does, like, knowing that, how does that affect those 70 acres? Like, are you trying different varieties? Is it all fiber, or like, break that down for me first and then talk about the varieties you're growing?
Yeah. This year it's all fiber, and we'll probably plant about 10 varieties. There'll be 3 or 4 that'll be our core varieties that we've come to realize both here in this farm and in the Mid-Atlantic region that seems to be performing well.
Yeah.
But then we'll probably, we are going to be testing several other newer varieties that might perform well that we need to basically, I'll say, ground truth and see how they work. In agriculture, everybody understands variability of weather, and anything you do in recommending and dialing in varieties really takes 3 years. You can't base it on 1 year. You can get a good indication of either very good or very bad.
Yeah.
And the very bad ones we eliminate immediately. The very good ones we try again just to make sure. So we're in the second and third year with some of these varieties, and starting to understand better what works here at my 39.8 degree latitude, which is important in understanding what varieties work for any given area.
Sure. So talk a little bit about the varieties that are working for you.
So this past year, we liked some of the Asian varieties. We liked some of the French varieties. We liked one variety particularly from Australia. And we're also testing some U.S. varieties and working with some other researchers here and developing some new material that's going to be just coming out here a little bit this year and hopefully more in the years to come.
Yeah, okay. I know there were some new sort of rules put forth by the ag department here in PA. Did any of those rules affect you at all?
Well, I appreciate the effort to eliminate the need for testing on varieties that haven't, gotten hot in the previous couple years. So that's certainly a step in the right direction, and so we greatly appreciate that. So, I'm still in the very much of a testing mode, and I'm looking at all things, how to grow these varieties, and I don't shy away from testing new varieties, but also understanding how they operate. So all this in the context of going hot, and then we got this farm bill that's just sitting down there in DC now, not going anywhere, it seems. That's another component to your question, actually, because the farm bill is proposing a 1% THC limit, which would just pretty much would then almost all varieties could be used. So I guess that's why I'm not limiting myself to some varieties that we'll say close, because I'm looking to the future and I want to understand which varieties perform. And I'll just tell you, to take that another step further, what we're doing now with our experimental microprocessing is we are seeing as dramatic differences as appearance in the field as in the fiber herd, the fiber quality, the fiber quality and the herd quality. We see differences among these varieties. And again, that goes back to my earlier point. We have to start with the end user. What does that end user want? I mean, we have sent samples, sometimes 6 different variants of the same exact variety to a end user, and they will pick out one of them and they'll say, hey, within the one sample, give us 4 that's close to that. So this is the necessary work of getting this whole industry off the ground. Again, starting with the end user and then backing up. And we're trying to understand which varieties now match up to the end user's requirements.
All right. Can you talk a bit about like what end users you're working with?
Well, I can talk a little bit in general terms. We're looking at some that are in the bioplastic realm, some that are in interior of home of buildings and office buildings and ceilings, and of course, your standard insulation type folks. Also talking to some textiles. I mean, some people don't want to touch that. But to me, I would just, at least at the very least, to try to at least get some textiles that are grown right here in the Mid-Atlantic region.
Yeah.
I know that's a bit tough nut to crack on a commercial scale, but I just really feel like we have to try to wiggle our way into the textile industry again. I understand there's big challenges there in that, but
yeah.
So all the all those different aspects we're looking into.
Okay. Sort of as a side note, textiles. Would you ever consider growing flax on your farm?
If I wasn't so busy with this whole hemp project, yes. But as anybody who's dove into this understands, this crop has so many options that it's almost, I can't even wrap myself around all the stuff I want to do with hemp. As tempting as it is, I do have to stay focused on what's in hand right now. But I would encourage others out there, maybe flax is your game. Go for it. Please do it. I just can't do everything. Right. That's my quick answer.
That's a good answer. The reason I bring it up is because I know the Pennsylvania Flax Project. I did a show with them, I think in the last fall. They got some grant money and they're looking for growers. So I think they're looking for farmers in PA who want to grow 5 acres. So I'll have contact info on there. So a little shout out to the PA Flax Project.
Yep.
All right. Anyway, getting back to experimental microprocessing. You must just love this because I've gotten to know you over the past. I've been here at Lancaster Farming 9 years. When did I actually meet you? I was going to your farm to talk about hemp for the first time, I think probably in 2019.
2019?
So,
yeah, probably.
Right. Yeah. And
5 years into it, Eric. It's been a great journey.
Yeah. And you remind me of I grew up with, a farm family, friends, and you must just be loving this because it just you're a natural problem solver and tinkerer, and you just so I imagine you're enjoying this immensely, this hemp industry.
I am. For those who know my history, I have been involved with the development of soil health and cover crops, and there's so many parallels to this industry now with hemp. When I started with the cover crops very intentionally 25 years ago, it wasn't in existence. The industry did not exist, and there was really no standards. And I really much enjoyed laying that foundation, setting some of the standards, being involved in the research and everything. I see so many parallels now with industrial hemp. So you're right. I enjoy doing this, and it's a lot of questions still need to be answered. But I'd be very bored when anything gets to a maintenance mode. I get very bored. So I'm looking for something to discover, something that's new, something we can improve. And what's so great about this crop? I mean, I love doing the cover crops because it helped farmers, it helped the environment, checked all the boxes. And the nice thing about hemp is it does all those things too, but it's enhanced because it has a stronger connection to everyone. Cover crops really only, farmers, environmentalists, and a few, I'll just say citizens, non-farming citizens appreciate it. But with hemp, every single person on this planet can benefit from this plant. And I've been known to say that I can't think of another plant that God made that benefits in more ways humanity than hemp. And and maybe this is a good segue into the medicinal side of it, but with food and fiber, all those dynamics, it's satisfying to be involved in an industry that helps humanity, helps the planet. It checks all the boxes, and I had the climate in there too. So it is gratifying to be involved. It
is an absolute gift. So yeah, absolutely. So yeah, let's talk about that medical stuff because you have a CBD brand, Cedar Meadow Farm.
Cedar Meadow Farm.
There you go. Better soil for better oil. I think that's your tagline or something in that neighborhood.
Yeah.
And so through that work, that's how you got involved with Penn State and Hershey Medical Center. So can you talk about what's going on there?
Yeah, so way back in 2019, the euphoric year for CBD hemp, I was contacted by Penn State College of Medicine. Honestly, at first didn't take them seriously because I thought, what's a big conventional medical community? Are they really interested in plant-based medicine? Come to find out, they actually were, and I've really appreciated working with them. And Dr. Kent Brana and Wesley Ramkasavich. They truly are wanting to make a difference in more of the plant-based. Now they started the whole thing with focused on cannabis, all the cannabinoids, medical uses of THC and all the CBD, CBG, and you name all your cannabinoids. They're working with them, but they have very recently changed and opened it up to plant-based medicine. So it's, mushrooms. They were even talking about wild raspberries the other day and some of the medicinal benefits. So getting back to where I'm involved is we have been growing the CBD and CBG varieties for them to do their testing, which right now is still limited to I'm not sure the correct way to say this, but I'll just say animals. And they're doing all this testing and all different kinds of human chronic issues, chronic things. And I was just up there a couple of weeks ago for their annual retreat, and they're really showing some promise. It's going to take a few more years until the human studies are going to come out, but it's very encouraging. And I think for me, to see and I'm going to just say it for lack of better terms, to see a conventional medical community start to see the light that, there is more than just drugs. We need to look at some of the medicinal sides of plants that we pretty much forgotten, or maybe intentionally covered up. I'll say it that way. And to see this, to me, from for the sake of humanity, and one thing is really nice, Eric, is these plant-based medicines have little to no side effects, and we all know that. I think it's safe to say almost every drug has a side effect. So
right.
That's what's exciting to be involved in this project and to see it develop and grow and everything. I'm really honored to be a part of it.
That's super cool. Yeah, it's like maybe this is cynical, but it's like, oh, you can't really make money from the plant-based medicines, or maybe that was the thought before, and so they come up with these drug formulations that are patentable, and then it's part of the greed machine. But in this new paradigm that like hemp is possibly connected to, things are going a different way. So that's neat that you're involved in that. Yeah. All right. So you were talking about, you've been a soil health educator for 25 years, and you're like well known around the country, around the world, like in the soil health community. And so you go and you give talks. I follow you on the LinkedIn. You were in Ontario somewhat recently, maybe.
Yep.
So I'm curious, as you're talking about the soil microbes and cover crops and all that, like, are you also like evangelizing hemp during that thing? Like, how does hemp and your like other soil education, how does that tie together?
Yeah, I'm going to answer it this way. I'm transitioning to more of my speaking engagements to involve hemp. At the end of this week here, I'll be giving the opening keynote session that I think you're going to introduce me to in the NOCO 10 conference out in Estes Park, Colorado. So, the answer is yes. I am more and more, as the opportunities come up, to basically take the knowledge I have from the soil health side of things and the cover crop things. I mean, regenerative agriculture is kind of where I sit, and hemp is just the perfect crop to use regenerative agriculture principles in so many areas. So for me, it's a natural fit.
Yeah.
And I must say, I feel like in a context, I mean, not to sound, overly zealous or anything, but the hemp industry needs me more than the cover crop industry does right now. The soil health cover crop community is well established, well mature. There's plenty of ambassadors, as you said, evangelists in that arena. And I've been a part of that for a long time. But I see a lot of, I guess one thing I got to say is a pet peeve in the hemp industry is that we hear all the benefits of hemp. It sequesters CO2 and deposits carbon in the soil, which is very, very true. But then when you till the soil, you lose all that.
Right.
So you got to tell the whole story if you're going to be able to claim it. So I'm saying we grow cover crops. So we're sequestering CO2 year round, anytime it's growing. The hemp only grows like 3 or 4 months. Okay. What's happening in that soil the other 2 years? There may be other crops, but we have to use cover crops and do limited or no tillage. And I hear all the exact same things I heard years ago. Oh, no till doesn't work in my area. Oh, cover crops don't work in my area. It's too dry. It's too wet. I've been through all that and now it's like, Oh yeah, it's not easy. It wasn't easy for us to get over the hump 25 years ago, but we figured it out. And now with hemp, it's the same thing. I mean, okay, hemp is a small seed, which creates a little additional challenge to no-till. But that's of course all I do. So I've been growing it no-till for 5 years now. And for me to say it's going to work everywhere, no, it won't. It takes some tenacity. It takes some effort. It takes some experience in your given area to make it work. For instance, we're in the mid-Atlantic region here. In some springs, we have slug issues. And in case you don't know, slugs like little hemp seedlings. And I've had them come in and take out some of my stand. So just to let you into some of my thinking, okay, how am I going to solve this now? So I have actually sitting the other side of this bale here that I'm leaning against is a whole pallet full of cover crop seeds. I am mixing together with hemp various cover crops, including soybeans, which we know slugs like. I'm going to plant them with the hemp in the same seed box, in the same row. So you're going to have this wall of different plants coming up. And hopefully we're going to distract the slugs so they don't eat the hemp. It's a little bit more than theoretical because I've seen this before. I worked with it, but I'm working with the University of Maryland, Dr. Ray Weil, soil scientist. Mm-hmm. I've been working with him since 1996. And so, and I told him about my idea, and he goes, "Great, you can fit into a grant I'm working with right now." So we're going to be planting here fairly soon with like 10 different species. Now you might ask, well, what's going to happen to those soybeans and stuff that survives, and how's that going to affect the hemp? I don't know, but that's why I got to try. I'm not making any recommendations. I'm just opening the door into the way I think and in my mind. I may say next year, Eric, that didn't work.
But you'll know.
That's just some of the things I've tried.
Yeah. The slugs are awful.
Yep.
I like to go. I'm a gardener, right? And I'll go put the little cups of beer out, and the slugs will go in and drown. Lately, I've been seeing these much bigger slugs come in. Like they look like, I don't know what they're called, maybe like leopard slugs or something, but they're like 3 inches long. They're giant. Really? Yeah. Maybe it's a Chester County thing, so I'll keep them here.
You have a variant there. You have to keep tabs on that.
Yeah, I'll send you some pictures.
Keep them over on your side. I don't want any of that.
Yeah. So, all right, we talked a little bit about NOCO. Let's talk about the Pennsylvania Hemp Engine, because that's I know you've been sitting in on those stakeholder meetings. You're involved. What do you think of that so far? Like I find it really informative. These meetings they're having weekly. So what's your take?
Well, at the very least, it's pulling people together. And that's a value right now. It's pulling the industry together, the stakeholders, literally outside of Pennsylvania. It's gathered a lot of attention. That's at the very least. At the very most, we might get $162 million to spend in 10 years from the NSF, National Science Foundation. So, that's not a slam dunk. We're going through the due diligence now of doing all these meetings to line up all these stakeholders to have a good plan that they feel is warranted to be funded. But, if that does come to fruition, it's going to be a big deal. And 162 million sounds, and it is a lot of money. You divide it over 10 years, it's 16 million a year.
It'll go quick.
And then you start thinking about that could be spent on one single decorticator, a big factory,
Yeah.
So then it's like, oh, that's not much after all. But on that hand, the whole idea is to jumpstart the industry. And honestly, we need that. We need investors. This crop does cost a lot of money to get the infrastructure going.
Yeah. I
like to tell people that the cars are built, but the roads aren't yet.
Right.
And it takes a lot of money to build roads. So that's, I think, where we're at. So, and I appreciate the state of Pennsylvania, the Department of Agriculture has thrown strong support. The governor's thrown strong support. We really appreciate that. I'm speaking here as a farmer and also those who are involved with the Pennsylvania Hemp Engine. So it's as anything goes with getting money from the government, it takes long and you have to have patience.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of right now, that's one of the opportunities we have. So I'm involved. I'm involved because I see it as important, and I'll help wherever I can in that. So
cool.
I appreciate the efforts that all those have been doing with Tom Trite reading it, and David Minning and Dr. Saram are some of the key people, and now Paul Hollacker is writing this up, this grant proposal. So appreciate all the leadership and what they're doing with that.
Yeah. The presentation last week, there's a few different presenters, but was it Ed? He had this thing called CCR. I'm gonna pronounce his name incorrectly, so at like Lehrberger or something like that.
Yeah.
I should do better research before I talk about things.
Okay,
but that was neat. And it was this, he's talking about like a refinery system, that'll break it down into the sugars and the lignins and all that. And that made me think of the first call I had with Dr. Ron Kander from Jefferson 5 years ago.
Yes.
And he's like, we have to set up a refinery system, because there's so many components that can be useful in so many different industries. So I love that we're seeing it all happen. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so you mentioned a little bit of your work with Hemp Catalyst. You want to tell me anything more about that?
Yeah, Hemp Catalyst is the founder and CEO, Dwayne Sugars, who people are getting to know. It's interesting, that as people come into the hemp industry, you have those who have been, plodding along for decades. And then you have people who are just recently have just found this opportunity, and Dwayne's the latter. And he has a very business mind, and so I've partnered with him in Hemp Catalyst for the farmer side of growing and processing, and then marketing, our own stuff here. We're both involved with the hemp engine. The other side that you alluded to is Dwayne set up this kind of a marketplace with Meta iHemp is what it's called.
Right. Okay.
And basically, you can it's expanded to the point where farmers can list their crops on this marketplace. They can, and they have a long list of things you can put your plant population, and of course the variety, the planting date, the baling date, the weights, what you have. So any buyer can go in there and they can sort out what they want. They're looking for a specific variety. So eventually, when we have hundreds of farmers that maybe are just growing this, or you have other, a lot of times I recommend that people grow it for a specific end use, but for the time being, this whole marketplace is set up where buyers and users can go in there and look for potential, product that they need. So you have the farmers could also go to the registered buyers and say, hey, I see you're looking for such and such. I might have that. And so it's a marketplace, and I think it's going to serve the industry well. It's just another component to help get this industry off the ground, to get them roads built that I referred to earlier. And that's right now it's just very fragmented yet, but it is coming together. There are a few, let's just say there are a few pathways that are being built, but we don't have many 4-lane highways yet.
Right. Let's talk about equipment a little bit. Last fall, I think you were experimenting with like a hay merger for harvesting your fiber off the cover crop fields. What did you think of that? Is that something you're going to do again this year?
So if your hemp is cut in relatively shorter sections, 2 to 3 feet with a multi-cutter bar, not hard to rake with traditional hay rakes. And even bale, I'm not saying any baler will work, but most any baler could become a hemp baler if you have the right attachments and everything. But going back to the merger idea, one of the problems I had here in my situation is when I plant my hemp, I'm planting into a cover crop biomass that's 3 to 4 feet tall sometimes. And that still is down laying on the ground. So when you go to rake up the cut hemp, the retted hemp, it will rake in to the windrow some of my cover crop. Well, that's very, very bad on 2 fronts. One, it's clearing off my ground that I want to stay covered with residue of the biomass from my cover crop.
It's like a mulch. You just have it all mulched up.
Yeah. Exactly. That's a better word, actually. Thank you. But the other thing is any cover crop mulch that gets in my hemp bale, that's debris, and that's not good for the process in the processing. So these hay mergers that are becoming more and more popular, especially for larger hay operators, where it's like anyone familiar with a baler pickup that has tines. It's like a wide pickup, and it throws the crop back onto a belt, and then there's different variations. You can make 1 row or 2 rows. And so it picks the hemp right up off the ground without the ground being touched with the tines. And so that leaves all my cover crop in place. And it's just again, utilizing machinery that's in existence to be able to, try to figure out how to best handle dry, wet, the hemp. And so that's really where the merges. We tried 2 last year. We're going to try another brand this year just to understand which ones maybe work better. We learned a lot.
Yeah.
We learned a lot last year, but we're still trying to dial that in on what's the limitations of that. And that's the key for almost any equipment out here, that anything you built with handling hemp has to be built tough.
Yeah, right.
I tell people that if it can handle ropes, it can handle hemp. So
how was that McHale baler? I know you were trying that out.
That was one of those things. I'm going to say this, Eric. There are a lot of quote unquote experts in the equipment industry and all of hemp, but it really comes down to it has to work for your specific situation. And some experts, either they were over their skis and didn't understand what they're actually doing for large scale commercial production, or it works in their area, but not maybe in other areas for whatever reason. The McHale baler, we did our homework, seemed to be, from the people we talked to, was one of the leading contenders for hemp because they have a hemp kit. I don't want to go into the details, but it's actually some things you can buy and it makes it hemp ready. And we baled 300 bales last year with almost no issues, no wrapping on the pickup. That's the biggest thing. So yeah, I'll just say that our experience with the McHale baler has been very good.
Okay. Actually, yeah, I saw you out at a field day, maybe King's Agri-Seeds, and shot a video of you explaining that hemp kit. So I can publish that too. So, all right.
There you go.
Cool.
That works.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So I know you have a busy day ahead. It's Monday. We're both heading out to Colorado this week. There's an eclipse this afternoon. So there's a lot going on. There was an earthquake last week. It's crazy times. So what else are you looking forward to about going to Colorado? I know you said you're giving a presentation, and apparently I'm introducing you, so that'll be fun.
Well, I saw you were on the program.
Yeah.
I think you did last year, but anyway, I hope you introduced. We'll see. We'll have to talk to Morris about that. I'm sure he can accommodate. But no, it's. I think what sums up NOCO, this will be my 3rd event, is now I think I can say to get reacquainted with friends and to make new ones. Events like this, for me, is the networking that is the most valuable, and I look forward to that. So that's really where I'm looking forward to, Eric, is the networking.
Awesome.
That will take place, meeting people, and also just kind of picking up what's the vibe like for 2024. Yeah, so I'm very much looking forward to that.
Good. Yeah, I'm trying to push the good news vibe. That's where I'm going.
There you go. Me too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because nobody needs pessimism, right? We need determinate optimism, right?
Correct.
So good. All right. Well, Steve, I will see you later this week in Estes Park, Colorado. Thank you so much for your time today. Appreciate it. Always great to talk to you.
Likewise, Eric. Thank you again.
All right. There you go. And just like that, the show is over. It's time to go. It's time to pack up and get out of here. I have a flight to catch. I know you're busy. So thank you for listening to today's show. If you have questions or comments or concerns, or you just want to say hey, send an email to podcast@lancasterfarming.com. My name is Eric Herlock. I'm the senior digital editor at Lancaster Farming newspaper, the greatest agricultural newspaper in the world. Check us out online at lancasterfarming.com. And special thanks to Ray DePriest up there in Alaska at Sunray Hemp, who is making our trip to Colorado possible. I'll be talking about Ray a little bit more on our bonus NOCO episodes. So anyway, until next time, I will see you in the newspaper.
Ladies and gentlemen, Frontier Airlines would like to welcome you to Denver, Colorado. Local time here, 4:02 p.m. For your continued comfort and safety and the safety of those around you, we would request that you please remain seated with your seatbelt securely fastened until the aircraft has come to its complete and final stop.
This episode of the Lancaster Farming Industrial Hemp Podcast is copyright 2024 by Lancaster Farming newspaper, part of the Steinman Communications family. Today's show is written and recorded, edited, and produced by Eric Herlock with additional production help by Matt Lee. The music you hear throughout the show is courtesy of Tin Bird Shadow.
Industrial hemp